So today we're going to be talking about revisiting the Honeywell Spyder 5 controllers. Honeywell just recently came out with new firmware for the controllers, and they've also, for the unitary controllers, both the large and small, they have brought in the full range of all of the silk thermostats. So you have the full range of all the TR, from the TR40, 42s, 71, 75, and 120. So first off, if you have any in stock that you've purchased before, the first thing you're going to do, let me share my screen here. So the first thing you guys will want to do is, if you have access to Honeywell's building form, you want to come here first, then go over to Spyder 5s. And here under firmware and software tools, you want to make sure you get their current release that they have. So these are the two new firmware files here. They're both up at the same revision for both the unitary controllers and VAV controllers. So when you purchase them and they're coming from Honeywell, Honeywell did go back in and reflash the new firmware to all of their controllers that they have in their warehouse. Here in Houston, I went in and did the same thing, reflashed the firmware to all the controllers we have on the shelf, so that way when you purchase them, it's already there. If you don't have access to Honeywell's website, shoot me an email. I can send you, give you a link to our Dropbox that we also have copies of the firmware on as well. That way we can help you guys get out of a bind if you don't have access to it. So same thing with the software. You go to their current release. And here is the new tools right here for it. The purpose of this is there was an issue where if you had 30 or more controllers on your network, you had the possibility of controllers dropping offline or not showing up. So that's the reason why you want to make sure that you reflash your controllers with the new firmware. And the good news about that is if you have programs in them already and you reflash the controller, it will not delete your program out of your controller. So you don't have to worry about having to reload the controller once you update the firmware. So with that said, let's jump into this. So right now I went through and I'm actually in the process of doing the firmware upgrade on this controller as well. It's actually pretty simple. Here on fan coil units, that's my controller there. You just highlight that, and then down here at the bottom, you would go to firmware, download firmware. But to get to this screen, first, you want to make sure you click on BACnet, and then right click, go to view, and then you want IRM BACnet device manager. This screen will come up. The reason is if you just double click on it, it's gonna take you to your regular BACnet database manager. So you always want to make sure you right click, go to IRM BACnet device manager. And then from there, once you highlight your controller, click download firmware, and then you navigate to where you placed your file on your laptop, which would be this one here for the unitary controller, and then this one for the VAB controller. And then you say open, and then it goes through the process of loading the new firmware. So again, today, we're gonna be doing a series of videos here. Today, we're gonna start off with basic programming for a fan coil unit. And then we're gonna roll over to, on these controllers, they have what they call service buttons. The next one, I'll show you guys how to program that service button to do simple things for you guys, like testing out inputs, outputs, or running a test of your program in the field to kind of help out with commissioning and stuff like that. Then after that, we're going to be looking at doing the whole synchronization process. I'll take you through that. And then the last one in the video series is creating a template and reusing that template on other jobs. So right now I have a plain controller here. There's nothing in it. Your database is gonna be under your IRM program. The first thing I have to do is I have to tell it which controller this is on the onboard IOs. So the one that I'm using is going to be the onboard IO RS5, and then the large one would be the onboard IO RL6. So I would just take this, drop this on the onboard IO. So some of these working in teach on demand mode changes can be committed to the controller at any time via teach. There's a feature in here where you can turn on and turn off whether if you want the controller to teach itself as you make changes. And then there is one as you make the changes, or if you want to download it yourself, then you just leave that off. To get to that, we're going to come to here, teaching mode. I want it on demand. And then on here, I can do my first one. When you first start it out, you will have to do a download to it. So I'm going to do application for teach. The only thing I have in it right now is just my IOs that I dropped. I don't have any programming or anything in the periodic program or the event program. And it failed because I think I'm still in the process of updating the firmware revision right here. So if I come here, it's just your traditional wire sheet. So on here, you're gonna wind up, I'm sorry, let's go back. So on your onboard IOs, these are the physical inputs, outputs on the controller. These can be named to whatever you want them to be. Once you name them, there is nothing. So if I rename this as DAT, I rename this as RAT. filter. Chill water valve. Water valve. Supply fan. So stop. And do this one. Supply fan status. So once I have these named, I have to go in there and set their characteristics. Is just double click on it under characteristics. Then I'm gonna set it to what I need it to be. So in this case with Honeywell, I'm gonna stick with the 20K ohm sensors, even though they give you a different variety of ranges now. You can do 10K, platinum 1000, nickel 1000, 10K type 3, and the other 10K NTC 10 is type 2. So once you have these, your inputs, outputs set, um, these are not actual backnet parts. They're just your physical parts on your system. So moving forward, anything that you make, you are going to actually have to add the backnet parts into your logic, and then you're going to link those parts back to your physical IOs on your sheet. So if you have one that was actually wired wrong on your controller, either you have to rewire it, or you would actually physically just come here and then just rename it. So there is no moving the physical parts around once you add this in here. If you by any chance come here and mistakenly delete this, there is no way for you to put this back in there. The only way you can put this part back is you would have to drag the physical parts back into on this wire sheet again, but it will overwrite everything that you have in there. So that's one thing to look for and to be careful with. So now that I have these set up, I can come here to my periodic program. Now, the one thing I will tell you guys to do first, because this is kind of like a little nuisance, is if you're going to use any of the silk devices, TR40s, TR42s, or any of those range of sensors, I would create that logic first. And the reason is once you download it for the first time, with that, anything with the logic using a silk device, if you have your room temp module on there and you need to move it on the wire sheet to get room, to make room for you to add more logic, even if you just move that block over by an inch or so, the system is going to look at it as a major change to the silk bus, and is going to force you to manually have to re-download that controller. So my recommendation is to make sure that you do the programming for your thermostat first if you're using a Silk device, and then get everything set up the way you want it to be, and then leave that part of your program alone. Any other parts of your program, you can make changes to it, move blocks around, and it automatically reteach itself. But as far as the Silk devices, that is a issue that will come up. So if you do your programming where you have folders, you have to use this IRM folder. You can't right click and then just say new folder. It will not take. So you have to make sure you drop in one of theirs. And I just call it sensor.
So Damon, we got a question on, does the new firmware allow NTC 20 on UI 7 through 10?
Let me check. I haven't played around with the new firmware yet. I would follow up on that. If you give me your email, I'll shoot you something to let you know. But I know on the larger controllers, that's kind of the way they set them up for you to be able to use the other sensors, the Platinum 1000 and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if they changed it to where you can use the 20Ks on there as well. So down here under your Silk bus, you're gonna have your devices. So you're gonna have to specify what device you want to use. The TR4X is your TR40, 42s, and different versions of the stats that you have. The same thing with the TR71 and 75. So right now, I only have the TR71 temperature sensor. So you will have to drop this first. So unfortunately, I can't do that because my firmware still haven't updated yet, and it should have gone through already. So let me double check this right quick.
And then also I had put in the chat that Dropbox link for our Spyder information. So everybody, if they want, you can just copy that so you can get that firmware and everything.
Okay, and it does take a while for the firmware to go through. So for the sake of the programming, I'm just going to stick with the TR40s. Let's try this again.
So Damon, when you was
Yes.
going through all your physical I/O points, you can't just drag in like your UI1, set it up as a 20K, and then do a duplicate so that the setup's already there.
No. Yeah, so no, with the your physical points themselves, you once you drag that folder in, because they're not physically there, and even if I go to back to here, I have it. If I expand that, I don't have the option to actually select those inputs and outputs. So you have to physically drop this whole module here on this folder here. And once you do that, it actually, it would actually take and populate all of that for you, and then you go in and set it up. That's why I was saying that if you mistakenly delete one, there is no physical way of you being able to put one back, and it won't allow you to duplicate it.
Because all the changes that you had made prior to deleting on the others would default back to original.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the only issue with that one, with those physical parts. So, so like I say, once I do this, I always go in and set these up first for what I need it to be. And then in the past, I've always taken and created a backnet folder and dropped all of the backnet input outputs in that folder. And then that way I can make the links between those two folders. And then after that, I kind of stay out of my physical IO folder. That way I don't mistakenly delete anything. So, and if you have to move anything around, is just basically going in and basically linking everything, and you basically do that typically through the link mark here, and that's the way you're going to link your physical parts to your backnet parts. So.
And I would imagine doing it that way too. You're especially on your outputs, they're right in front of the physical output, so that you have full control overriding on off outputs.
That's correct. So the go back to here. So on any of these, when you linking from your backnet punch, you're gonna link out of your backnet punch to the input of any of your digital inputs here. When you're for your analog inputs, you're gonna link out of the physical part into your backnet part, and then for your AOs, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to link out of your backnet parts into the input of the analog outputs. And then as you can see, this is that service button that is on the front of the controller as an actual output. So. So what I'm going to do to help move everything along to show you guys.
And these are templates that you have made, right?
That's correct. When you add anything, you're always going to see this, your controller, and then it has a default password. There is no password. It is blank. And what this password goes to is that the programming part of this controller, you can password protect it to keep others from going in to making changes. They'll be able to see it, but they won't be able to modify it in any type of way. I don't use it. I just leave it like this. It will come up and say that it has a default password, but there is no password there. So this is a program that I wrote in conjunction with looking at some stuff with University of Houston on some of their fan coil units that they have 3-fan speeds on. This model was actually made with the Spyder 5 V8V controller. So as you can see here, if I go back to my onboard IOs, here's the IOs. I didn't name them or anything like that. That's your choice if you want to. And then here under event program, I have another folder for onboard backnet. So here's my backnet points here for everything. And the configuration for it. So you can actually put facets and stuff on these right here as you have them in there. So as you discover them into your punch folders, all of that is automatically set up. So here, I was trying to show you earlier, I used a TR120 to program my system. So the folder that I use is called Zone Logic. And here is the logic in this folder right here. I have is temp and humidity. So here's the humidity configuration with the silk device. So once you add the your thermostat here, which one that you want to use, you have silk parameters here. And under your silk parameters, here is everything that you would need to get that all set up. So what I did is under my periodic program, I just took the thermostat and just dropped it in this folder right here. And as you can see, because it is a silk device, I moved it, and this is what you're going to get anytime you move any of those silk blocks. And the way you know that your system is no longer synced is you're going to wind up getting this little warning signal right here to let you know that this block is not synced with the rest of your program at the time. So once I have that in there, then I come here, start adding my blocks. Here's your humidity. Here's the room temp blocks. And then I came out of my humidity silk block, and then I came in with another backnet input, which is what I discover when I go to my point folders. And then I'm sharing this out with another part of my program. So occupancy, I created a separate folder for that. I have a onboard schedule that's embedded into the controller itself. And here's all the logic going to the occupancy block here, and then sending it out to other parts of my program as well. As everything is going into a temp calculator, I have a wall module set point here. This is for them to be able to physically adjust the temperature and the temperature from the thermostat itself. You can put in limits to limit what they can, how high they can go up, high, low. They can go drop the temperature, and you can do some other things too, where you can set it up to where you do basically a differential, where you set the temperature for 72 degrees, and then you give them the ability to go plus or minus 2 to 3 degrees, or you can make it relative to where you basically they'll see I set it to 72, but then I can move it up to 73, 74, 75, or drop it from there as well with these setups here. Also with this, I created a load shed program. If the customer is doing any type of load shedding with the state, then it goes back to a set temperature mode, so that actually tell the system whether if it's in heating or cooling. And then on from there, basically telling it what mode I'm in, heating, cooling, reheat, or emergency heat. So this is my setup here. Like I said, if out of anything, you want to make sure that if you're not going to use a lot of the temperature set point calculators or anything like that, you can do it simpler. But if you do any of these, you want to make sure that you get all of this set up first and then just leave it alone. Because like I said, as I move any of this, you're going to get that warning after you already synced it saying that this is no longer working. So. I have a simple humidity control function block here, basically doing a comparison and then doing a deadband for when I come out of dehumidification. Cooling logic, and then basic heating logic as well. So as you see, I have programming in 2 different folders here. You don't necessarily have to do it this way. All of your programming, all of these 3 folders can actually be in this periodic programming program folder, or you can have everything in the event program folders. So there's no difference on where you need to have any stuff.
Hey, Demond, what are those error function blocks on some of those pages?
It's about these here.
No, not those.
So
the ones with the red ERR.
So what those blocks are is, let me get back to one here. So what this is once you finish writing all your logic and everything, you want to make sure you can use this. You don't have to. I use them. What it is, it actually checks that part of the code for you to see if you have any errors or anything. If you do use this block, you want to make sure it is the last block that's in your program folder. So I do that if you're live. If there's any errors or any problems with any one of your function blocks here, you actually start getting code here. I haven't diagnosed what those codes are yet, but talking with Guy and them, they're saying that this is definitely something that you want to make sure when you program, you do have that in your programming block. And it's in your folders. I know the VAV programs that they wrote, they didn't have these in there. So they are simple. You can just go in there and add them. And you don't have to link them anything. You just make sure that is the last block. And that function block should be here under utilities, and you basically just drag and drop that into your folders. So, and as you see, I don't have them in this folder, and I don't have it in there. So it's just simple. You just take it and drop it. And like I said, if you are on live, as you programming and stuff like that with no links and stuff, you will see this output code start changing. So like I said, with this, I'm probably not going to get anything because I'm not live right now. I did get them. So I'm not live right now, and I'm going through some things with it. So that's why it came up like this. Actually, hold on. Yeah, it's going to do the same thing. But when you discover, like I say, these are the physical backnet parts right here that we created in the system. And like I said, I had facets that was actually set up on the function blocks themselves. So as they came in, so here I tell it how many, what's the number of states that I have, and then what's going to be the default value and everything. And then I can come here and basically say what those facets are from that function block. And then you basically, you set that up to how you want it to be, and then go from there. So with mine, I do have an off, a null, then low speed, medium speed, high speed, and the null is basically from the TR120 is the auto state when they can change the speeds from the thermostat, turn the unit off, and then, but if they put it back into auto, it gives me a null state, which actually puts everything back into auto. So with this, you can change it to auto. You don't have to put it to null. So parts of your program, the only thing it really looks at is what state this is in right here. And I'm sorry about this part, guys. I had to figure out what's going on with this controller here. One of the things is if you do get into this issue here and you're having problems and you do have something in it, on the front of the controller with that service button, if you hold that button down, pull the power on that controller, hold the button down for about a minute or so, power it back up while you're still holding the button. Give it about a minute, and then this controller will factory reset itself. So it will wipe the controller, put it back to factory default, and then you should be good from there. So I don't know why it's not going through with the firmware update on this controller. I promise you it does work. I've done 6 in the office, and I've also done 4 VAV controllers. I don't have my actual test equipment here. I know I've done it on all my test equipment, and everything went through as expected. So, we're pretty much at that mark right now. If you guys have any questions or anything, we could talk about. If not, like I said, I have my email addresses and everything there. We have a link to the firmware in the Dropbox. So if you guys need anything, then just please feel free to reach out. I know I have installed some of these. I have done programming out in the field. I actually like these controllers. I'm starting to use them a lot more over the classic Spyders. They do give you better, more inputs and outputs without having to use the Silk IOs. But one little tidbit is that they are planning on taking the expansion modules for the classic Spyders, and they are going to be updating the firmware to be able to use those expansion modules on with the Spyder 5. So that is actually in the works as we speak. Don't have a time frame on when that is all going to be available. This firmware and everything right now I'm using 4.8. Honeywell have released 4.9. 4.9 will work with any of the JACEs, the Spyders and the Spyder 5s. We're waiting on an update for the Cypher 50s and for the Cypher 30s. And a lot of it has to do with the news 4.9 have changed the signatures for the module files. So Honeywell is having to update a lot of that to get those signature files correct. And then they're going to release a update to their version of 4.9 to get all to make sure